At 4:40 in the morning on June the 23rd, 2024, Tampa police were called to 11606 McKinley Drive, the Home 2 Suites Hotel near the University of South Florida.
And you said you responded over to the hotel at 4:40 because in reference to shooting, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
As officers rushed towards the crime scene, they encountered a speeding vehicle that signaled for them to follow.
And we ended up going down the street and we seen the police and we hopped out and was trying to tell them like, oh, we just got shot at, but they wasn't listening, so we hopped back in the car and made another U-turn, so they hopped in their car and they chased us.
When they arrived, they found a parking lot that looked like ordinary nightlife had erupted into an active war zone.
She stopped the car. They started exiting the car. Two females and a male exited the vehicle. One of the females was yelling, hey, her boyfriend was shot, check on him, is he still alive?
At the scene, smoke and glass fragments from the shooting were still hanging in the air.
When I got on the scene, there's smoke literally still in the air, just from the rounds hitting the vehicle. Plus, there were still glass fragments still kind of in the air.
And worse yet, the evidence on the asphalt made the violence feel even more direct. A black Dodge Charger sat riddled with tight groupings of bullet holes that tore through the front window and metal frame. Inside the car, the body was still there.
I saw the vehicle sitting there, multiple bullet holes through the front windshield, and I also saw one gentleman laying inside the vehicle.
And when officers checked for signs of life, there were none.
What did you do at that point?
I ran over to the vehicle to check if there's any signs of life. At that point in time, there's no signs of life. Noticed there was a blood trail running from the vehicle into the hotel.
Beyond the Charger, stray bullets had also struck occupied hotel rooms and bystanders' vehicles, which meant that the sleeping guests could have even been killed in their beds.
Is that a close-up of the bullet hole that was on your hotel room window?
Yes.
And then, adding to the horror, a blood trail stretched from the bullet-riddled Charger across the sidewalk, through the glass lobby doors, and up to the third floor.
Foolio laid up, and I looked up, saw the holes in the window. I was Jose covered in blood.
Did you at some point realize that you had been injured?
No, I didn't really realize that until we got in the hotel.
Okay.
And that was where two additional bleeding victims were found hiding.
Now, when you first make contact with these two individuals, what are the observations that you make about their persons?
Obviously, observed the injury to Mr. Norris's right shoulder there. Officer Gale immediately started to tend to him, placed a tourniquet on his arm.
By the time the police secured the yellow tape perimeter, the dead man was identified as Charles Jones, better known to millions as Foolio. He was one of Jacksonville's most famous and controversial rap stars.
Jones, known for making diss tracks and music videos joking about the murders of rivals, and even shooting one music video in a graveyard and mocking another rapper who was shot and killed on his birthday.
At the time, Foolio had traveled to Tampa to celebrate his 26th birthday weekend, and the same month, he had reached nearly 2 million monthly listeners on Spotify. In the days before the ambush, he had heavily advertised his trip on Instagram, and soon after, Tampa police announced that the killing was a targeted, cold-blooded assassination tied to a vicious Jacksonville gang war. As investigators dug deeper, they said that the killers had executed a highly coordinated trip from Jacksonville to Tampa, and according to police, the operation used two vehicles. One was a silver Chevrolet Cruze that tracked Foolio's movements, and the other was a black Chevrolet Impala that carried the shooters. Unbeknownst to Foolio, investigators said that his movements had been tracked across multiple clubs before the armed group closed in at his hotel.
Surveillance video from outside that club shows how two suspect vehicles continued to follow Jones, just as they did at Teasers, and eventually to the Home 2 Suites near USF.
Then surveillance footage showed one of the suspects' vehicles driving past Foolio's parked cars twice at the Home 2 Suites. According to investigators, that pass was used to confirm his location before the attack begun. Only after that structure came into focus did the suspects enter the public record. 1 month later, the police arrested Isaiah Chance and his girlfriend Alicia Andrews. Prosecutors described them as the mobile surveillance team inside the silver Chevrolet Cruze.
Keep coming! Stop! Stop! Turn around! Keep your hands up, turn around! Keep walking, keep walking. Keep walking. Now turn around. Put your hands behind your back.
Then, as the investigation closed in, police also captured the three men that prosecutors had said formed the attack team inside the black Impala. That included Rashad Murphy and his brother Davion Murphy, as well as 18-year-old Sean Gathright.
Keep coming. Walk back to me. Hands behind your back.
He's someone that's young. He's healthy. In reality, we need that labor. We need that sweat equity. and we would put them out there to work.
And for some reason, Sean didn't quite fit in with the others in the hit squad. Content warning. This video is about a sensitive topic involving loss of life. We've removed any graphic content to comply with YouTube's guidelines. We aim to provide informative, factual journalism on a tragic event in the public interest that does not dismiss its seriousness. All clips are used under the doctrine of fair use for news reporting and analysis. Some points made in this video are opinions and theories. I am not responsible for third-party information. If you want to watch my videos uncut and extended, go to patreon.com/traplawross, where you can get those for just $2. Also, you can now watch my new drops on Spotify, so go search me there. Here's the video. In the middle of the summer semester at Florida State College at Jacksonville, one freshman English professor was spending what seemed like an ordinary Saturday night grading papers. As he worked, he realized that a few students hadn't submitted their latest essays, and at first that wasn't unusual. In a freshman English composition class, missing assignments were common enough, so like he did every semester, he sent messages urging those students to get in touch with him. But as he moved through the names, one student stood out. According to the professor, he got a feeling of deja vu, almost like he had seen or heard the name somewhere else. What made it even more unusual was that this was his best performing student. In one assignment, the student wrote about being the first in his family to attend college with the goal of helping his mother retire within 5 years. The professor said the student wrote openly about loving his mother, and the honesty of it really stayed with him. At that point, that student was missing only one essay assignment, and his grades were still strong, but for some reason, this professor just couldn't get this name out of his head. So he sat up straight, stopped grading, and thought about it, and then the memory came back. Weeks earlier, on June the 23rd, Jacksonville had woken up to the news that 26-year-old Charles Jones, better known as Murder of Foolio, had been murdered in Tampa. The attack involved multiple high-powered rifles and was caught on surveillance footage, with that footage quickly spreading online after it was released publicly. At the time, police suspected the murder was gang-related and tied to retaliations for earlier shootings and murders. Then, 5 weeks after the murder on July 29th, 3 suspects were arrested: Alicia Andrews, Isaiah Chance, and 18-year-old Sean Gathright. As the professor sat there, he then realized that the 18-year-old suspect shared the same name as the student he had been trying to reach. He shook his head in disbelief and searched for photos of the people who had been arrested, and then he saw him. It was his student. According to the professor, he broke down almost immediately, and for nearly 10 minutes he sat there crying, asking himself how this could have happened. The thought of so many young lives and families being destroyed hit him like a ton of bricks. As a teacher and as a human being, he said he took it personally. At the time he found out, the state of Florida was seeking the death penalty for the suspects who killed Foolio, including his former student Sean.
Well, Linda, today we learned that the state announced that it is considering the death penalty in this case, but a final decision has not been made yet on which of those defendants, if any, will be facing it.
One of the suspects, Alicia Andrews, was pregnant at the time of her arrest and was set to give birth in jail. Then, when Davion Murphy was arrested as the 5th and final suspect, the professor said that the same anguish came back. Even as he had hoped and prayed that his student wasn't involved, he also prayed for Foolio's family, because whatever happened in court, he knew that these young lives had already been changed forever, and for the professor, the city would never be the same. And from there, Sean's story became even harder to understand. At only 18, Sean was the youngest person involved in the hit on Foolio, and on paper, his life seemed to be heading in a very different direction.
So, how old were you when you were arrested?
I was 18 years old.
We heard that you had started some college, obviously probably didn't get very far, right?
Right.
Unlike the others, he was the only suspect described as having no known gang affiliation, tying him to Jacksonville's deadly decade-long gang war. In fact, even though Sean was born in Jacksonville, he spent much of his early life moving around the world because both of his parents were in the military.
We have heard a lot about your parents in the military and some moving around, but did you guys always stay together?
Yes, we moved a lot, but we've never been apart.
So if he would go to Mississippi or you guys would stay with Grandma, you were always with him?
Yes, ma'am.
Although Sean's parents divorced when he was young, his stepfather, Brian Harrington, became a steady father figure in his life from an early age.
I met Sean in early 2009 when we were stationed in Okinawa, Japan. He was 3 years old at the time.
So you were in the service along with his mother?
I was in the Air Force and she was Marine Corps.
And when Sean wasn't with them, he was often with his grandmother in Oxford, Mississippi, where his grandparents and the church gave him strong role models.
My late husband was a wonderful role model for Sean, and Sean loved his papa. And there was a lot of men in the church community that took Sean under their wings and tried to mentor to him. One of my neighbors, they all love Sean.
Then in 2016, when Sean was around 10, his mother left the Marine Corps and the family settled more permanently in Jacksonville.
Terry, we've heard about living in Mississippi. When did you guys move to Jacksonville?
We moved to Jacksonville in 2016 after I retired from the Marine Corps.
2016?
Yes.
Okay.
There, Sean attended an elite magnet middle school for talented and gifted students, and he also had a small social circle of like-minded friends.
Talk, play games, watch movies, if not my house or one of my other friends' house, same thing. Anything we could think of, bowling. We had days where we took our dogs out to play together. We went skydiving for one of our birthdays. It was one of the craziest experiences ever.
Meanwhile, family photos showed Sean traveling across the world, including trips connected to Japan, Jamaica, Scotland, Ireland, France, and South Africa. And in one clip that circulated online, Sean appeared to be ziplining with his family in South Africa, far from the life that prosecutors later described. By the time Sean had become a teenager, his future seemed to have a bright plan attached to it. In high school, he ran a side business called Sean's Lens, shooting music videos and high school football highlight reels around Jacksonville and Oxford, Mississippi. Then, by the time he graduated high school, he was a first-year college student trying to become the first person in his family to graduate. Outside of school, he was already trying to build something for himself. He was operating his own power washing business and talked about investing in real estate and vending machines, and at least publicly, he seemed to be chasing money and success through school, work, and his creative hustles. But the version of Sean Gathright that would be remembered by his professor and family was unfortunately only one side of a very dark story. Sean Gathwright's mother was a former US Marine who had been trained as a rifle expert.
Firearms trainings?
Yes.
With the Marine Corps?
Yes, I have both. I'm a 7th award rifle expert with the rifle, and I also am trained in the 9mm Glock.
Because of that background, she legally owned a large collection of firearms and high-caliber weapons.
So I have a shotgun, a 30-06 rifle, and a .45 revolver.
However, she testified that she never gave Sean permission to borrow her firearms, but she also admitted that the gun safe key was kept in an open trinket box on her dresser. Then, when law enforcement stopped Sean Gathright on July 2024, they found a Glock 9mm in the center console, along with live rifle rounds, loose ammunition, magazines, and firearm parts all around the car. Later, during a search of his Jacksonville home, detectives found a detached brass catcher inside of his mother's gun safe. That mattered because a brass catcher or a shell catcher is designed to catch and collect the spent casings deployed after a gun is fired, which completely explained why fewer shell casings were left behind at the shooting scene. And inside that brass catcher, investigators found 2 fired 9mm Max Tech shell casings that were forensically linked to the Foolio shooting just 1 month earlier.
And this is a cartridge case that would be suitable for firing in a 9mm caliber handgun?
That is correct.
And do we see another mark on the top, MXT?
Yes. For the items 9.1 and 9.2 cartridge cases, I identified them to each other.
What is that?
That means that they were fired from the same firearm.
But it was the 9 spent assault rifle casings discovered in Gathwright's gold Toyota 4Runner that pointed investigators towards something even darker. Because when investigators looked backward, the trail they described did not begin in a Tampa hotel parking lot and with the murder of Foolio. Instead, it stretched across years all over Jacksonville and at one point even reached Oxford, Mississippi. After his family settled more permanently in Jacksonville around 2016, Sean still spent time between his mother's home in Florida and his grandmother's home in Mississippi.
This is when you're in Oxford with your grandmother?
Yes, sir.
The nice lady we saw earlier came in here.
Yes, sir.
The one that has supported you and spoke so lovingly about you, correct?
Yes, sir.
At the time, both places had represented family, structure, and support, but years later, investigators would connect both places to a much more violent timeline. The earliest alleged case was documented on July 18th, 2022, when Sean was 16. That afternoon, Jacksonville police were called to a shooting on the city's west side. First, officers responded to a person shot on Cassett Avenue around 1:45 p.m. Then, a short while later, another call came in about another person shot minutes away on LaBelle Street, and by the end of that afternoon, 2 men had been found wounded in 2 different locations. Next, both were taken to local hospitals with injuries that were not believed to be life-threatening. At the time, police gave the public a strange kind of reassurance by saying that they didn't believe any suspects were outstanding and they did not believe the public was in danger because they had made contact with the people believed to be involved. But that didn't mean the case disappeared.
I can also let you know that parts of this crime scene are both inside and outside of a residence. And I'll let you know that we're speaking with multiple individuals who appear to be involved with the incident, and their relationships are unknown. The circumstances which led to the incident are unknown at this time. I'll take any questions.
Instead, it remained there as a shooting with a case number. Nearly 2 years later, that same case number appeared again in court documents connected to the Foolio murder investigation. According to the filing, the July 18th shooting might have been tied to the spent assault rifle shell casings recovered from Sean Gathrights vehicle. Then, less than a year later, Sean's name surfaced in another shooting case, this time outside of Florida. On May the 19th, 2023, it should have been a milestone day for 17-year-old Sean Gathright because that was the day of his graduation from Oxford High School in Mississippi. Earlier that year, he had made the first semester senior honor roll list for the Oxford School District, and his name had even appeared in the Oxford Eagle. Likewise, his photography was featured by the same publication, with his photos from school sports games appearing alongside local news coverage. But that same day, he appeared in a cap and gown with his sister beside him. Less than 24 hours later, a day of celebration turned into a shootout. On May the 20th, 2023, police in Oxford, Mississippi were called to Holly Hills apartments off Church Street. Usually a day out in the town of Oxford would be a wholesome affair, with bookstores, restaurants, college town charm, and an authentic southern image. But that morning, the quaint area turned into a crime scene. According to local reports, officers were dispatched to the Holly Hills apartments around 1:33 a.m., where apparently 3 people had been shot with injuries that weren't considered life-threatening.
The shooting happened on May 20th at Holly Hills apartment. All 3 victims have injuries that are considered non-life-threatening.
A few days later, police ended up arresting 2 teenagers. One was handled through youth court, and the other was 17-year-old Sean Gathright from Jacksonville, Florida, who was charged as an adult with aggravated assault, and a Lafayette County judge set his bond to $50,000.
Gainwright was arrested for aggravated assault. He appeared before a Lafayette County Justice Court judge where his bond was set at $50,000. The other suspect is being charged in youth court.
However, Sean was seemingly never indicted for the shooting, and his attorney later claimed that he had acted in self-defense. Soon after, he fully relocated back to Florida, and then 5 months later, on October the 7th, 2023, Charles Jones, aka Foolio, would end up getting shot in Jacksonville in an unsuccessful attempt on his life that would later become a critical moment in his murder case years later. That morning, Foolio was driving through the 3100 block of West 16th Street when gunfire erupted. According to reports, his black vehicle was struck roughly 10 times.
The popular Jacksonville drill rapper Charles Jones, who performs under the name Foolio, was shot in the foot. A picture obtained by First Coast News shows the car he was driving riddled with bullet holes. You can see it there. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office tells us the shooting appeared to be an ambush. They say the suspect or suspects were waiting for the victim, and a man in his 20s, which we confirmed to be Jones, was shot in the foot.
And stray bullets also hit a nearby occupied home, and a woman inside suffered minor injuries from flying debris.
During the shooting, a house was struck, causing a minor injury to a woman. The brand new surveillance video appears to show a home getting struck by bullets.
Foolio would be hit once in the foot, but he managed to drive himself to a local hospital where he was treated for non-life-threatening injuries.
I wanted to go get a vape from the stove. So I hopped in the car, and I guess I got ambushed. Somebody was waiting on me when I pulled out the driveway. And I saw the car, I saw a little glimpse of the car. But by the time I got to the stop sign, they hopped out and went to shooting. They shot the car. After I stopped hearing the shots, I got to another stop sign, and I busted right, and I stopped. I tried to hop out. I hopped out the car, and I couldn't use both of my feet. I fell straight to the ground, and I crawled behind the car. When I crawled behind this car, I'm like, what the I think my foot, bro. I got hit in the foot. Yeah, that was a real picture.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was, I broke like 5 or 6 bones in my foot.
Oh my God, man. What bullet, did they tell you what bullet that was?
I think it was like an AR bullet or something. An AR bullet.
At the time, Foolio survived.
Yeah, all the ops that's on here, all the ops that's on here, a foot shot don't count as get back. Go pick your mans up. I don't want to talk. Talk to God about it.
But the investigators later described this shooting as an attempted murder, and according to the same court document, the assault rifle casings recovered from Sean Gathright's Forerunner were linked in connection to that October 7th shooting.
In new court documents, investigators say there's evidence linking one accused killer of Charles Jones, also known as Julio Foolio, to a previous attempt at killing him last year.
Gathright was arrested during a traffic stop in Jacksonville, where investigators say officers found a Glock 9mm pistol, a rifle, and 9 spent rifle casings. Detectives say those spent casings matched 2 different shootings before Jones's death. a separate homicide in May, and a shooting last October in what investigators say was an attempt to kill Jones then.
So by the time prosecutors built Julio Foolio's murder case, nearly 9 months later, they were also looking back at a previous attempt on his life. Then, just 1 month before Foolio was killed in Tampa, the alleged trail became even more serious. On May the 31st, 2024, patrol officers were dispatched to the 10500 block of Maidstone Cove Drive after reports of gunfire. There, police found Byron Wesley Walker suffering from multiple gunshot wounds, and he would be taken to UF Health, where he was pronounced dead.
On May 23rd, Walker was found shot multiple times on Maidstone Cove Drive, according to Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. He was taken to UF Health, where he later died.
Devastating. My heart was ripped out. And at that moment, the breath was taken out of my body. My heart stopped, and the pain just set in.
Walker was a staff sergeant in the Army Reserve who served as a cargo specialist from 2000 to 2008.
A dear friend, roommate, and fraternity brother. They say he was a kind and loving person and a devoted father.
Byron and I really weren't friends, we were brothers.
Sadly, now the two are only left with the memories of Walker, a retired Army veteran.
And friends remembered him as a dependable father with an infectious smile.
I'm going to do everything I can to consistently improve myself, to elevate myself so I can be a beacon of light for my children. And that's what he went after. And so when you see that, justice has to be served when it comes to Byron.
While the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office stated that they believed that the shooting was targeted, a definitive public motive for why Staff Sergeant Byron Wesley Walker was killed has never been released. However, the location of the shooting is in close proximity to a residence associated with Isaiah Chance. Law enforcement officially linked the murder of Staff Sergeant Byron Wesley Walker to Sean Gathright through microscopic ballistics analysis of assault rifle shell casings found in his Toyota 4Runner. The violence surrounding Charles Jones, known globally as Julio Foolio, didn't start in Tampa.
There is a real gang war going on in Jacksonville. ATK and 1200 are at war with 6 Block.
Instead, it came from a brutal Jacksonville gang war that had already taken lives.
Somebody got shot in the face?
Up there. Up there. When they were shooting. You know who it was, baby?
It's cell phone video taken in August of 2018, just moments after a fight inside the stadium led to a triple shooting on the campus of Raines High School.
I closed myself up in the house. Since his death, my family haven't been the same day. That hurts.
Created enemies.
Police say Adams was shot and killed during a Raines versus Lee High School football game in 2018. 18-year-old Robert Howard is charged in his murder. According to Howard's original arrest report, the incident was gang-related, and he was listed as a gang member.
And turned social media into an extension of the war zone where threats, grief, and revenge were put on Front Street for the whole public to see.
This video, posted on social media, shows what appears to be a man spitting.
Gerard Adams.
And urinating off of Gerard Adams' grave. The video never shows the man, only his shoes.
Before Foolio was shot in the leg during a prior assassination attempt, a young man named Antonio Tilley had been killed.
A high-dollar hit. Jacksonville detectives believe this October 6th double murder in Moncrief was not random. Instead, it was a gang-related contract killing worth $20,000.
The dollar figure that's attached to that is fairly high.
Detectives believe Harris lured one of the victims, 19-year-old Antonio Tilley Jr., who thought he was meeting her for a date.
And after that shooting, the tension around Foolio only grew.
Just over 6 hours after the murder of Antonio Tilley, on October 7th, attackers with high-powered rifles would shoot up that same Dodge Charger being driven by our murder victim, Charles Jones. This was 9 months before the murder of Charles Jones. He had left his house at about 6 in the morning.
During a live public broadcast on Twitter Spaces, Isaiah Chance, also known as Gardazay, ended up on the same call as Foolio. At first, it sounded like the kind of trash talk people had heard before, but Isaiah Chance wasn't just another voice in the beef, because he had allegedly previously dated Sean Gathright's sister, Nevaeh, and through that relationship, he and Sean became close friends.
Did you also learn in the course of the investigation that the sister previously had a relationship with Isaiah Chance?
I've learned that, yes.
According to testimony, that friendship was the clearest explanation of how Sean became connected to the streets.
While he was living with you, one of those close friends was Isaiah Chance. Isn't that true, ma'am?
Yes.
And you didn't have any concerns about his close relationship with Mr. Chance. Isn't that true?
That's true.
I have nothing further, Judge.
And during that Twitter Spaces call, Isaiah Chance asked Foolio a question that made mere trash talking seem like something much more personal. He asked if Foolio knew what gun had been used to shoot him in the leg.
Hey, they know what you got hit with, Foolio?
I ain't gonna cap, cause you gotta think about it. I had a rod in my shit. They had to take that shit out. That shit was in like January. That shit had to heal up. And they put the little boot on my shit.
Hey, Gutter say, you know what you got hit with?
Nah. You know what I got hit with?
To everyone listening, and later to homicide investigators, the implication was clear. It hinted that Isaiah Chance appeared to have some inside knowledge of the October 2023 shooting that was later tied to Sean Gathright. According to prosecutors, on the same day Isaiah Chance asked Foolio that spooky question, a plan was already being set in motion to finish the job and kill him. Around that same time, Rashad Murphy, a quiet street figure who went by the name Ghost, initiated a text exchange with Sean Gathright. Then, 2 days later, Rashad Murphy saved Foolio's profile pic on his phone. After that, on June the 11th, Isaiah Chance posted a memorial photo of Antonio Tilly, the same man who had been killed the evening before Foolio was shot in the leg. This gave prosecutors even more reason to believe that Foolio's previous shooting was retaliation for Tilly's death. Then, 3 months later, Foolio gave them the opening. At that point, he posted promotional flyers on Instagram announcing his 26th birthday celebration in Tampa. But critically, those flyers gave the city and the dates and the times, as well as the venue address. Soon after, Rashad Murphy publicly liked Foolio's event post, and from there, the trip now became something that his enemies could follow along with. And over the next few days, Rashad Murphy's phone continued collecting hints about Foolio's movements. First, one image on his device showed Foolio, who also went by the nickname Six, captioned with the words Big Six and Little Six. Then another image showed a driveway with a black Dodge Charger, same type of vehicle that Foolio would later be killed inside. Meanwhile, Rashad was also saving online posts about himself, where Reddit users speculated about who was Ghost, the untraceable shooter frequently name-dropped in Jacksonville rap songs. So even though Rashad wasn't a famous rapper, his reputation in the streets of Jacksonville was being built through violence and a mysterious persona. From here, the plan to kill Foolio shifted from online activity to real-world logistics. At that point, Alicia Andrews, Isaiah Chance's girlfriend, began messaging about Airbnbs in Tampa. Then, money entered the timeline when a Cash App payment was sent from Jacksonville rapper J. Breezy to Isaiah Chance. In court, prosecutors highlighted J. 2023 album cover for Sincerely Mad, which featured him holding a number 6 pool ball with his middle finger up as a clear diss to Julio Foolio and his gang, the Six Block. According to the state, that money was used to book an Airbnb in Tampa, Florida, and to finalize the reservation. Rashad Murphy provided the host with a photo of his government ID, so by the early morning hours of June 22nd, the payment had gone through and the Airbnb was booked, and Rashad's ID had been used for the reservation. Later that day, Foolio kept on posting. This time he announced a birthday pool party at the Airbnb where he was staying.
The pool party start the day at 5, 6 o'clock. If you already got the address, pull up, man. You got the address, pull up. If you need the address, DM me right now. The pool party start at 5, 6 o'clock. DM me for the address of DM Foolio booking ESPN. I'm gonna put it right here.
By that evening, Ring doorbell footage and phone data placed Isaiah Chance, Alicia Andrews, Rashad Murphy, Davion Murphy, and Sean Gathright at their Airbnb in Tampa. However, while Foolio had publicly teased the event online, he still forced followers to privately message him to get the actual location.
You got to add it. You got to add it, man. Push up. We just got to this bit. Tampa, Florida, man. You already got to add it to the pool party. Push up at 5:30, man. Push up at 5:30, man.
And then investigators later recovered a screen recording from Sean Gathwright's iCloud showing his device frantically searching through Foolio's Instagram and looking for Airbnbs that fit the description.
8:40. That's a work day before the murder happens. That's 8 hours before the murder happens. And we know that this defendant, look at the problem solving right there in real time in that evidence, the decision making going on from, as Raul Benasco told us, a very mature defendant who can take care of himself. Look at him going through. And then we're going to see him start using the multiple filters. A property on the water, a property with this many rooms, a property that has a pool, a property with a barbecue. Trying to figure this out.
Eventually, Sean's device focused on Teaser's nightclub, the public location where Foolio was scheduled to appear later that night. As the night moved towards midnight, Foolio continued posting from the party. In one post, he thanked everyone for coming out to his birthday.
Appreciate everybody popping out for my birthday, you know what I'm saying?
Happy birthday!
Everybody got their shot, put their shot in the air, man. Okay, David. Everybody take this on 3, man. 1, 2, 3.
And then just after 1 a.m., Alicia Andrews, Isaiah Chance, and Davion Murphy were caught on surveillance getting McDonald's. Meanwhile, Sean Gathright did what he seemed to do in moments of trouble and leaned on the people closest to him.
And get that information by luring it out of someone, by using this pretty young girl, Kyla, who unbelievably goes along with this.
He would allegedly text his girlfriend, Kyla Enright, and his older sister, Nevaeh, asking them to contact Fatboy, a member of Julio Foolio's entourage. Later, Fatboy would be identified as Xavier Edwards, the driver of Foolio's Dodge Charger at the time of the murder. Specifically, Sean asked his sister to act like she wanted to see him, and then went further, suggesting she act drunk and make it seem like she wanted to hook up with him in an effort to find the location of Foolio's Airbnb. And in the messages, Sean made the goal clear that he was trying to find the address to Foolio's Airbnb, which he didn't get. However, the alleged hit team would get their biggest assist, unfortunately, from the Tampa Police Department. After Foolio's Airbnb pool party was shut down, the plans for the night changed completely.
4 a.m. Is there anything of relevance or significance that occurs with likes on Mr. Rashad Murphy's account?
Yes, he likes a post by Young and Ace from ATK.
Is Young and Ace Kenyatta Bullard?
Yes.
For hours, Foolio had been in Tampa for his birthday weekend, posting the celebration in real time. But once police shut down the Airbnb party, everyone was forced to leave, and now the target was moving. At that point, Foolio posted that the police had kicked them out of the Airbnb, and then a few minutes later, he told everyone they were on the way to the show. That meant the group was heading towards the Teasers Club.
In the early morning hours of Sunday, June 23rd, Jacksonville rapper Charles Jones arrived at Teasers Gentlemen's Club in Tampa for a paid performance.
He's the gentleman wearing the red beanie hat.
And according to prosecutors, the tracking team adapted to his every move. In their version of events, the silver Chevrolet Cruze was the tracker car, and inside that vehicle were Isaiah Chance and Alicia Andrews. According to prosecutors, their role was to follow Foolio's movements, watch where he went, and communicate with the people in the assault car. Meanwhile, the assault car was the black Chevrolet Impala. That was the car that prosecutors said carried Sean Gathright, Rashad Murphy, and Davion Murphy. Those were the three men detectives identified as the gunmen, and once they arrived at Teasers, Isaiah Chance and Alicia Andrews was seen on foot in the parking lot, reportedly playing the role of boyfriend and girlfriend to avoid raising suspicion. But according to phone records, Isaiah Chance was using his girlfriend's phone and staying in contact with Sean Gathright the entire time. So by the time Foolio's group reached the club, prosecutors said the alleged surveillance team was already watching, and after Teasers, Foolio's convoy went to the next spot called Truth 18, and according to prosecutors, the silver Cruze and the black Impala followed.
After leaving Teasers, the rapper went down the street to Truth 18 nightclub for an after party, posting on social media in live time.
This is the video here from his Instagram.
Surveillance video from outside that club shows how two suspect vehicles continued to follow Jones, just as they did at Teasers, and eventually to the Home 2 Suites near USF.
Eventually, Foolio's group ended up at the Home 2 Suites Hotel near the University of South Florida. This was supposed to be the place where the night ended, but instead, it became Foolio's final stop in life. When they arrived, Foolio's black Dodge Charger entered the hotel parking lot as part of a 3-car line. Behind him was the Nissan, driven by Camilla Bentley, a woman he had met in Tampa during his birthday weekend. A third companion was also part of their group, and together the three vehicles drove up and parked near the main portico entrance. After they parked, Foolio went inside to check on his hotel reservation, only to find out it had been cancelled. So he returned to the vehicle and started looking for another place to stay on his phone. Not long after that, the shooter's vehicle was on the scene, and at approximately 4:30 a.m., the black Chevy Impala carrying Sean Gathright, Rashad Murphy, and Davion Murphy entered the parking lot. Instead of approaching from the front, where they could be easily spotted by Foolio's group, the driver routed the Impala around the backside of the building. A few minutes later, the spotter's vehicle with Isaiah Chance and Alicia Andrews came through the same parking entrance as Foolio's convoy. Then, the silver Chevy Cruze doubled back to act as a scout vehicle, giving a final clear line of sight to Foolio's exact position before the shooters moved in. Moments later, three masked gunmen dressed in all black emerged from the shadows, and the bullets tore into the Dodge Charger, with one person having a handgun with a large magazine, and the two others had high-power assault rifles. According to investigators, the rifle had mesh bags known as brass catchers attached to collect the empty shell casings, so police would find fewer of them at the scene. Then, the shooters opened fire, sending more than 30 rounds directly into Foolio's Dodge Charger, with one bullet hitting the upper right side of Foolio's chest, going through his lungs, his heart, and his main artery, the aorta. That first shot was fatal. According to the medical examiner, Foolio lost around 2 liters of blood almost instantly and within a matter of seconds. 2 more bullets hit him in the back, and one of them tore through his left kidney. His driver and close friend Xavier Edwards was shot in the arm and grazed on the head.
How many times were you shot? I got shot in my arm 8 times. I got grazed in my head 3 times.
Did you feel like you were gonna make it that night?
Yeah, dog.
What do you do next?
I stopped the car. You feel me? My first thought was to check on everybody, make sure everybody was good.
Was Foolio responsive right there on the scene? Nah.
Meanwhile, Gino Norris was jolted awake by the violent impact of the Dodge Charger crashing into a parked car as Edwards tried to accelerate away from the gunfire. When Norris woke up, the first thing he saw was Foolio's body.
You said you saw Foolio laid out?
Yeah, first thing I saw Foolio laid out. I thought it was a car until I looked up, saw the bullet holes, and I saw Zay covered in blood yelling.
And then he immediately realized the car was still being sprayed up with bullets. Norris was shot 3 times, twice in the leg and once in the torso, and despite his wounds, Norris managed to escape the bullet-riddled vehicle along with Xavier Edwards. Together, the 2 wounded men ran into the hotel lobby, got into an elevator, and went up to the 3rd floor to try and hide, leaving the trail of blood behind them. And by the next day, the whole world woke up to the news that Foolio, Jacksonville's most wanted rapper, was dead. In the end, Sean Gathwright's story was presented in 2 completely different ways. To his professor, he was the bright college freshman who wrote about his loving mother and wanting to help her retire. To his family, he was a son, brother, grandson, student, traveler, and a young man who seemed to have a bright future. When they spoke about that version of him in court, Sean was brought to tears. In fact, many people pointed out just how pathetic they felt Sean Gathright was in the courtroom when actually faced with the reality of these murder charges. Many videos of him struggling to come to terms with his new reality ended up going viral on places like Reddit. Elsewhere on Reddit, many people compared Sean to his co-defendants, many of whom seemed to take their charges and sentences with much more dignity, with many describing the others caught in the case as staying solid, knowing what they signed up for, and going out like real gangsters. Even some of the people charged alongside Sean described him as somebody who seemed out of place in the violence around him, but according to prosecutors, Sean was something else. He was the young, privileged man who loaded his mother's car with weapons and ammunitions, traveled to Tampa.
That's because one of the cars they traveled all the way from Jacksonville in and used in their murder was his own mother's car. They have footage of every single scene of this crime.
And carried out a gang-related assassination and cried about it like a baby when he got caught. On May the 8th, 2026, Sean Gathright, Isaiah Chance, Rashad Murphy, and Davion Murphy were all found guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy in the killing of Julio Foolio. On the stand, Sean Gathright apologized to Foolio's family.
I just want to address the court today, and, I'm not here to dispute anything. I'm just here to be a man and take responsibility and express my feelings about this whole situation. Sir, I'm just telling you that today I would like to express my remorse.
Were you remorseful as you were running back with that AR-15 in your hands?
Like I said, I try to remember nothing from that night.
Was it traumatic to you as you went back to the car with that AR-15? Was it still smoking? Was it still warm in your hands from firing it?
And a week later, the jury rejected the death penalty, recommending a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole for all 4 men. Alicia Andrews, who prosecutors described as just part of the tracking team, was convicted separately of manslaughter and later sentenced to 15 years in prison. To this day, even after receiving the sentence of life in prison, it seems like Sean Gathright is still in denial about just how serious this situation is, with him apparently making efforts to set up a GoFundMe, making posts referring to his management team, which were duly clowned by people on Reddit, and telling the world that he is apparently, even from prison, serving life without parole, is apparently planning a career in streaming.